Hey mama, yes you, I'm talking to you mama. I have something life-changing to teach you today. And if you're still raising kids, it's gonna change your kids' lives too. I'm so excited, let's get started. Woo! Hey, my name is Avi Green. I am a healthy gourmet meal prep chef. And I am on fire to teach my fellow mamas how to prepare healthy gourmet food for themselves. It helps them to lose weight, it helps them to gain energy, it helps them to save time in the kitchen, save money ultimately, and it also helps them to teach their kids how to love healthy gourmet food. And so today the topic that we're going to cover and what I'm going to teach you is going to be amazing, and I just can't wait to tell you all about it. So let's bring all of the stuff over. I made a post earlier this week and it was in discussion of sauces, dressings, and condiments. And why is this such a big deal? Why is it such a big topic? Well, here's the thing. What I realized is that even for my mamas who are already in the habit of meal prepping, which is awesome, good job. And for my mamas and people who are already, on some kind of a plan, I don't believe in diets and I don't teach diets. But some people, they have worked for some people. So, whether it's keto or macro counting or whatever it is, if it's working for you, that's great, that's awesome. But what I see when I'm scrolling through social media is I will see that people, when they're doing their meal prep and they have their groceries all lined up, there's a lot of processed foods still in the mix. And so what I want to talk about today is how we can move further and further away from that standard American diet that most people are on, even if you're already have had the success of getting into a regular meal prepping routine, as well as, you have a way of eating that's healthy, but you might be missing that one piece. And that's the standard American diet, which is basically a diet full of ultra processed foods. And so even if you are cooking really high quality proteins and eating lots of plant foods, most likely you're still buying some condiments, sauces, salad dressings at the grocery store. And these things are made with such unhealthy ingredients. And so one thing I want to teach you about today is that the FDA approves certain ingredients and they give them the label of GRAS, G-R-A-S. And what that means is generally regarded as safe. And so I don't know about you, but that's not good enough for me. Basically, all that means is that an ingredient has not been proven to be harmful or that in small amounts it's safe. But here's the thing, we're not eating small amounts of these things because what you probably realize is that in the processed foods in the grocery store shelves, there are common ingredients. And the top 3 common ingredients in all the grocery store shelves is number 1, sugar, some form of sugar. And I'm not talking about raw local honey or dates, which would be considered healthy sugars that we can eat in small amounts and have no bad effects from. I'm talking about processed sugars. And there's so many different names for those sugars. So sugar is the number 1 common ingredient, even in things that it shouldn't be in. Even in something like organic tomato sauce. I picked up a can of organic tomato sauce. Sugar was the 2nd ingredient. Why? So sugar is the culprit that is really harming us today. And unfortunately, there is a statement that is well believed and accepted, and I don't accept it, and I don't think you are going to accept it either, and it's that this generation of kids is the first generation in history that will not outlive their parents because of the dietary health problems, dietary related health problems that kids have today. Specifically, that is regarding the American diet. And I learned that some years ago when I was watching a documentary called Fed Up, which is all about sugar, especially how the food industry targets children with sugary snacks, cereals, all kinds of foods and sugars and everything, and how it's affecting kids in particular. But it is a well-known statement at this point. And It's accepted by a lot, but not by me. No, 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 no. So here's what I want to tell you about. What is going to change your life and that of your kids, if you're still raising kids, is the two things that we're going to make today. We're going to make a dressing, and we're going to make one of the most popular condiments, the top 3 popular condiments in this country. It's one of those, but for kids, I'm sure it's the #1 most popular condiment, and that is ketchup. Okay, and I was digging through my junk drawer, which we all have, right? And I was looking for, do I have an example of what is in the traditional ketchup that we buy at the store mindlessly? We don't think about it, and we serve it to our kids, and kids probably love ketchup on everything. I have known of kids liking ketchup on eggs, which to me sounds gross, but ketchup is sweet, right? So they like it on everything. Well, why is it sweet? Let's see if I can read this. Ingredients. This is a package of Heinz tomato ketchup. Tomato concentrate from red, ripe tomatoes, distilled vinegar, high fructose corn syrup, salt, spice, onion powder, natural flavoring. So I don't know about you, but I don't want high fructose corn syrup in my body. I don't want it in my kid's body. It doesn't exist here in my home, because as far as sauces, dressings, and condiments go, I make everything from scratch. There's a couple of exceptions that I'm going to talk to you about to that rule. But as a rule, there's no processed sugar here, and there's no processed condiments, sauces, and dressings from the grocery store. But one thing I want to tell you also about the FDA and natural flavoring, you know, of course it's deceiving. We think natural sounds like it's natural, right? Unfortunately, the definition of natural in the FDA, they're still very vague about it, but basically it just means that at some point in the process of creating that flavor in a lab, there was something from nature, okay? So it doesn't mean that it's food, and it doesn't mean that it's healthy in any way. Okay, so we are making, in this pan, we're making ketchup. Over here, we're going to be making a delicious salad dressing, and you're going to see how quickly and easily it comes together. By the way, what I have is half of an onion sauteing in some avocado oil. So the other most common ingredient in the processed food sections are the inflammatory oils. And the reason they're inflammatory, even though at some point they came from a plant, which is obviously not a problem, it's because of the process. And in that process, I discuss it in my most recent blog if you want to read up on it, but in that process, some of these oils develop trans fats, which is known to be very harmful to our health, and they are inflammatory. They are causing a chronic state of inflammation in our system, which affects our immune system. So what I use for cooking with heat, I use avocado oil because it's an unsaturated fat, it's a healthy fat, and it has a high smoke point. So it doesn't have the risk of getting damaged by heat because it has an up to 500 degrees smoke point. So avocado oil, and then in my dressings, I also use extra virgin olive oil, which we all know is a very healthy oil. And so I have organic extra virgin olive oil. When we make our own condiments, sauces, and dressings, we are in control of the ingredients. We know what we're putting into our bodies and what we're putting into our kids' bodies. And so there's a huge, huge benefit there. So while our onions saute, I'm going to make the dressing. So this dressing is super simple. You can make it so easily and then store it in the freezer or the fridge. It has enough vinegar in it that it's going to last in the fridge 2 to 3 weeks. So I have the basic combination for almost any dressing is, for me, my flavor taste and what my clients like, is 2 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. So I'm using 1 cup of avocado oil and 1 cup of extra virgin olive oil. The reason why I'm not using all extra virgin olive oil is because it has a very strong flavor. It's a delicious flavor, but I don't want it to overpower what this dressing is. This dressing is a creamy balsamic dressing. So here's another thing about store-bought products. They use a whole bunch of fillers, excipients, binders. They put stuff in there just to help it move through the machines faster. That's not part of the flavor component, definitely not part of any health component. It's just there for it to be processed more easily with the machines. I don't want that in my body. I just want to have control over what I'm putting in my body. So I have balsamic vinegar. I have 1 cup of each. This is going to make a whole bunch of dressing. I'm gonna give my onions a little stir here. They're getting nice and golden. As you can see, I leave things alone in the pan because I want them to get caramelized. And when you stir and stir and stir, that can't happen. So we have our 2 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. We have a little pinch of fresh herbs. Use any fresh, tender herbs that you like. When I say tender, I mean not oregano, rosemary, thyme, herbs that are a lot thicker, more brittle. They're also a lot more flavorful, and so just a tiny bit of those herbs could go in there, but if you use a handful, it's going to completely overpower. So tender herbs would be parsley or dill, mint, basil. For this dressing, I'm using parsley, and if I had basil, I would use basil as well. Just a handful. Next, we're going to put in 2 organic dates. Make sure if you're using dates that you're taking the seed out. Sometimes you buy them pitted, but they're not always actually pitted. So just make sure that you take that pit out. 2 dates, that's what you're using to flavor it or to sweeten the dressing. You know, I don't even think we need 2. I'm gonna do 1.5 because balsamic vinegar is sweet on its own without having sugar. Okay, and then we're gonna do 1 clove of garlic. It's so simple. Micah, baby, I need you to get me some salt and pepper. I forgot. Thank you. And then this is the other exception. Remember I told you about the 2 exceptions, or that I was going to tell you about some exceptions to processed foods. So if you're buying fermented food, there is, the pepper, baby, is under that thing right there. Under where I keep my spices, down. Yep. The fermented foods is one exception. So fermented foods are something like kimchi, sauerkraut, some pickles, yogurt is fermented food. All of the fermented foods, yes, they go through a process, but they create probiotics, which are super healthy for us. And some of them have prebiotics as well, like kimchi and sauerkraut, because they're made with cabbage, which is a prebiotic food. So those things are super healthy for us, and they do have to go through a process. They're not to be eaten, you know, without having been aged or fermented. So that's one of the exceptions. The other exception is usually mustard. Mustard is a common condiment that we like, that we use a lot. And I would just say read the ingredients, because typically mustard only needs to have vinegar, mustard powder, and maybe some spices. But I was doing a little research, and I picked up a jar of mustard at Trader Joe's. They had a few different varieties of mustard, and one was organic mustard. So of course that caught my eye. So I thought, let me get the organic. But then I read in the ingredients that there was sugar in it and there was soybean oil in it. So I was not feeling that. And then I picked up just this basic kind of white label Dijon mustard, and it just has water, mustard seeds, vinegar, white wine, salt, and citric acid, which is citrus. So I'm just gonna give you a little shake, okay? And so mustard and fermented foods is the exception when you're buying your products at the store. Besides that, please trust me, go with me, come along with me. I'm gonna teach you in my Meal Prep Fundamentals program, which is an 8-week program. I teach you how to make all your own sauces, dressings, and condiments. And then in my 1-week workshop, which I just created and I'm releasing tomorrow at a deep discount, I also teach you how to make sauces and dressings. Okay, so Micah, if you can't find it, I'm gonna have you get me the crack pepper cracker, which is right there. Thank you. Himalayan pink salt. I'm adding a clove of garlic also to the ketchup situation, okay? And then we're just gonna add a pinch, thank you, baby, pinch of salt and a few cracks of pepper, and that quickly, our dressing is done. So about mustard. You know, I told you that the food companies will use excipients, emulsifiers, fillers to make their sauces thicker or to make them flow through the machine faster, which are not things that we want to have in our body, right? So what I'm using in the dressing to make it thicker is mustard. Mustard is a natural emulsifier. So you can use mustard, actual prepared mustard, or you can use mustard powder or mustard seeds. So let's give it a whirl. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Before we go on, I'm going to add the last couple of ingredients here to my ketchup, and that is 1.5 dates, apple cider vinegar, that gives it that little bit of tang, 1/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar. I like to add nutritional yeast wherever I can sneak it in, because it's such a healthy ingredient. It has all of the amino acids. It has protein in it. It has a lot of minerals as well. So I'm going to add some nutritional yeast, and it has a wonderful flavor. It has a very unctuous, almost like a savory flavor. So nutritional yeast. As that vinegar is evaporating, the date is getting nice and tender, and so we're just going to let that continue to simmer. I'm going to add also cracked pepper here. You guys, if you can imagine, I have a little meal prep business, and I have so many spices, it's not even real. I have like over 100 spices in my kitchen. But you only really need a few basic spices to make delicious, healthy gourmet food, and that's what I teach. Okay, so before we empty this, I'm going to, actually that's not true, I'm going to empty it right now. Both of these sauces can be made way ahead of time, way before you need them, and then kept in the freezer. They keep for a long time, and I want you to see how beautiful and thick this is. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh yes, this is a wonderful, wonderful, super simple, what was it, 5-6 ingredients, so easy. So I'm going to use my spatula to get most of it out. And then also here, let me save you some time. You guys, there's no ingredients in this vinaigrette that are going to conflict with the flavor of our ketchup or change the flavor of our ketchup even. And so for that reason, I'm not gonna take the time to wash this container out. I don't need to. So I'm all about saving you guys time in the kitchen too. So we don't need to rinse it out. There's a little bit of balsamic vinegar in it. That's okay. We need the vinegar flavor for the ketchup anyways. We used apple cider vinegar, raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar in here. So, you know, I like to think of it as we're adding flavorful and healthy food, adding food on top of our food. If you're having a salad, you don't want to pour junk on top of it, right? You want to pour something that's healthful, that's going to benefit you. So I'm taking the contents of just 1 small can of organic tomato paste, and we'll just let that sit there for a couple seconds. And so now we have our, I'm going to give it a little sample taste. And of this amazing, beautiful, creamy balsamic vinaigrette. Okay, here's the other thing. It's not just healthier for you, which is the main point, the most important point. It tastes better. So on that note, with my ketchup, guys, Micah, I'm gonna need some water, babe. With my ketchup, I make this for my meal prep business when we do burgers. And I have had clients tell me it's the best ketchup they ever had. I have one client tell me she wants to put it on everything. She said, I would even put it in my coffee. It's so good. Which sounds gross, of course, but that's just to demonstrate how tasty this ketchup is. And so if you need to trick your kids, make the ketchup, put it in the old ketchup bottle, rinsed out ketchup bottle, and serve it to them that way. I guarantee you they're either not gonna notice a difference or they're gonna say, this is even better than what it was before. And so I'm just gonna blend that up. But before I do that, I'm going to add my turkey. I have 2 turkey burgers in here, and I promised my Micah that he would get some food out of this. I pay him in food. Okay, so blend. There's always a healthier way to enjoy the foods that we want to enjoy, you guys. We don't have to drive through. We don't have to buy takeout. We can make it all ourselves and with ease. Check it out. We're done with that ketchup. Okay, and now one thing that I will share with you is, of course, it changed color a little bit, right? It's not that dark red that we're expecting. And for me, I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that. But if you want to trick your kids, but not add anything bad, I would suggest just a tiny bit of beet powder, which you can find easily at, well, actually I bought it on Amazon. So you can find anything on Amazon. So using the same spatula, we didn't make a big mess. We did this in just a couple of minutes. And check it out, we got some ketchup here that a piece of garlic skin got in, but I'm gonna give it a little taste with the burger, turkey burger. And then I'm gonna serve it up to my 17-year-old son, who, Micah, do you want a burger?
Yes, please.
Micah, can I ask something? That's delicious. Oh, he's on the phone, okay. I was gonna ask him to tell you guys how amazing my ketchup is, because I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to make it yourself. It's so good. And last thing I want to share with you guys is tomorrow I built a workshop for you guys, and it goes on sale tomorrow. It's not available on my website yet. It will be at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and only for 12 hours will this sale happen. So it will be a 12-hour sale. It's discounted 50% off. So the total for the 1 week plan is $35. And you're gonna learn not these dressings and sauces, completely different dressings and sauces. You're gonna end up with a whole week of food for your week. And you're going to feel so empowered. If you're overwhelmed by meal prepping, this is the perfect thing for you, because what it does is it doesn't just give you recipes, make this, okay, make this. It's a meal prep flow. So you're making everything at the same time, and it might not seem like it makes sense, but at the end, you have all the components for all of your meals. And so I developed this process over the last 5 years because I have a meal prep company. And so to be able to make 150 meals to 200 meals by myself in one day, I'm having an orchestra of things going on. I'm doing a lot of different things at once. And I realized, hey, this is a concept I can teach my fellow mamas to help them save time, so that, a lot of people feel like, I don't want to meal prep because I don't want to give away my Sunday fun day. I don't want to spend half a day in the kitchen or a full day in the kitchen. This meal prep process is a 2-hour prep. You spend 2 hours prepping all your food for the entire week, and you will not have a food emergency. You will have healthy, delicious, gourmet food ready to eat, and you're making your own sauces and dressings. I can't emphasize enough to how important it is for us to get away from that freaking standard American diet. Please, let me help you. You guys, my name is Avi Green. Please share me with your fellow mamas. Reach out to me, get on my wait list. I'm gonna send out an email tomorrow morning early so you don't miss out, because once that time expires, 9 p.m., I have to turn it off. The fact that I'm advertising that I'm making a sale, there are actually rules for Facebook and Instagram. There are rules that if you advertise a sale, you have to stick to that. You can't extend it, like it's actually considered fraudulent. So it will turn off tomorrow at 9 p.m. and it will go to the regular price, which is $70. Still a steal at $70, because it will change your life. I'm a little bit too excited, so I'm gonna go now. I will see you guys next week. And reach out to me, guys. Tell me how you liked it. Tell me how your kids like the ketchup, okay? Mwah. I love you.